Okay, we're going to look at the subject of being protected psychologically, energetically, psychically, and physically. Obviously, I can only do this to a certain degree. I'm not some kind of an expert, but I do have a few things to share. I'd like to start off by saying that our intuition is the bottom line. If we can sense what's going on in our immediate environment and not have our intellect and our senses take over our awareness, then we have more capacity to be safe in our homes, when we're walking and driving and so forth. There's a bit of tissue right in between our eyes, and it's called magnetite-bearing tissue. That tissue is used in nature for sensing the magnetic ley lines of the earth and the magnetic vibes of other animals and other stuff in the air, psychic and psychological projections of others. Now, this tissue in hard science is how birds navigate, and sharks and mammals and all kinds of animals have this tissue and can sense the direction of the earth, north, south, east, west, and they can sense the vibe of predators or the vibe of prey. So that's a scientific fact, all those things. Now, what's not a scientific fact yet, but is still true, is that since we have the largest concentration of that material right between our eyes, in the same place that the enlightenment, the awakening happens, wouldn't it be reasonable to think that we have that sensing ability as well? Yeah, it's true, we do. Our hearts have a 40-foot field of measurable magnetism. The most advanced way to diagnose a heart in a hospital is a magnetocardiograph. It measures the magnetism, just like Star Trek, to find out what's going on with the organ. Another interesting reference about electromagnetism is that if a bone doesn't heal in a hospital, they put a field of electromagnetism around that bone at 7 hertz. That's the same magnetic power, electromagnetic power, that's in the air from the lightning strikes around the world. It's called Schumann resonance. So we are electromagnetic people. Every cell in our bodies emits an electromagnetic signature and receives electromagnetic information. There's a recent scientific discovery about the information in the brain in certain aspects can only be communicated by electromagnetism. It's not chemical. So we are only at the beginning of understanding the science of electromagnetic sensitivity. On another type of a reference, a man named Gavin MacLeod, who is the FBI's go-to person to deal with issues of real violence and what surrounds it and how people get out of it. And in his famous book, internationally famous book called The Gift of Fear, he says the only people that get out of those situations before there's too much violence and trauma are the people that all say the same thing. I had this feeling, this gut feeling. You know, there's a lot of neurons in our guts, and there's a lot of neurons in our brain. Electromagnetic sensitive material is not only in between our 2 eyes, but it's also in our spine and brain. That's where it's found. So that's the only safety, really, is to cultivate your ability to be sensitive to your environment and to let the ears and the eyes and the nose and the intellect all kind of converge inside your person and be able to have a profound inner nature that's cultivated to the degree where you still have enough strength to move and shake with a fast-changing world outside of you. Our consciousness is to become more like the ocean, in the sense that it's very deep and still and heavy down low. And then as you come up to the surface of consciousness, the waves meet the wind and you automatically respond to environment. There's a myth about self-defense. And that myth is that you can develop enough physical ability or enough nuclear weapons and you can be safe. Well, we know that that's not the case. If anybody gets too mad at us, we're done. Unless you hide yourself in some kind of a cave, which a lot of people consider. It's still, you're vulnerable in the air. So only psychological maturation and being sensitive to the vibes of environment can help us to remain totally safe. Click.